Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm back with a video for the Gemini new moon, and I wanted to do a little channeling and pull some cards just based around the Lovers card in the tarot. As I'm sure you know, the Lovers card, it represents the sign of Gemini, it represents the twins, it represents, our conscious self and our unconscious self. And so it's a very potent archetype. And I feel that a lot of the shifts and changes that are happening now are happening to that part of our psyche. Gemini is also an air sign, and air or the sword is something that has been coming up a lot in my readings. It talks about our ability to choose. To really choose, we kind of have to be aware of both our light side and our dark side, both our masculine and our feminine. And so I feel that these are themes that many of us are facing right now. And yeah, so let's get into the message here. I'm feeling that for a lot of us, there is a shift happening right now. It's almost like the separation is becoming clearer. I feel like over the past years or a few years ago, there was this choice point where it's almost like people were called to choose whether they wanted to choose their egos in a sense, or whether they wanted to choose their souls, to walk the path of their souls. And I feel like it's based on this choice, that now we are being put onto a different timeline. That's almost what it feels like. It feels like up until this point, we've kind of been, actually what I'm hearing is like cemented into the timeline that we chose back then. And that's the guidance that we've been receiving through our subconscious. Either we've been receiving, if we chose our egos, it's like we've been receiving more of the same, is what I'm hearing. Like we've been very much connected to the matrix that we were already a part of, to the groups that we were already a part of. But then for the people that chose their own soul, I'm hearing it's been a wild ride. And so I feel like they've been taken off the beaten path to a much greater extent, and they've been walking into the darkness. And I definitely feel that in the Lovers card, it's definitely like the feminine that is the path of the soul. You can even see it here that she's looking up to this angel. And the interesting thing is that this is Archangel Raphael. I looked it up. It's Archangel Raphael. And the name Raphael in Hebrew, it means God has healed. So that felt so significant to me when I read that online. I was like, wow, because that was exactly the message or the messages that I've been receiving over the past couple of days. It feels like the archetype of the father has healed. And so I feel for some of you, it's almost as if you experienced as a child or growing up that you never really felt protected by the father. And this can mean a number of things, because the archetype of the father, it is our own father, of course, but it's also the authority, it's also God or the head of religion. And so it can mean many different things to many different people, of course. But there is something with that. If you've ever felt that you were not protected by the father, now I feel like some of these people, what they've actually been able to do is it's like they have they've restored the archetype of the father. And I feel like many of them, they're very connected to their feminine spirit. Like they lean on the feminine side at this point in time, is what I would say. They're also likely to be more hidden at this point in time. It's like a little bit underground still. And that brings me to the next thing that I really wanted to mention that I've been seeing going on within the feminine. And that is that it's almost as if the feminine has been split in two. It's like she has had this dichotomy. It's like she has been like the virgin or the angel, but then she's also been like the whore, you know, coming from the root system. It's like she's been carrying the shadow of humanity. I feel like the shadow of humanity has been created because of the lack of understanding of, you know, the big man, the old father. He had lack of understanding of reality, because of course we all do. Like, we don't understand. We're always expanding our mind and our understanding and our perspective, right? So naturally there was some lack of understanding. That wasn't the problem. I feel like the problem was that he kind of thought of himself as the top dog, you know, as the god, basically. And so that is what created a lot of shadow. And so that's what I feel like this is kind of like the underworld or the lower realm, you know, the deeper vibration of the feminine spirit. And some of us, I feel like we have learned how to really connect to that over the past couple of years, and learned how to navigate that realm of shadow, you know, things that have not been acknowledged, things that have not been seen, things that are too disgusting for the eyes of the god or the eyes of the big man. But I feel like in order to do that in a healthy way, you know, in order to do that without destroying our bodies, is like we also have to have this balance with, you know, innocence and kind of like the new children that are coming into earth, or the stars, if you will. And so I feel like that has been this splitting happening within the feminine spirit, that there has been this very, very bright ascended version of the feminine, like an angel, but then there's also been this very, very dark and kind of more aggressive version of the feminine, you know. But now what has happened, I feel, is that it's like these two have closed together. These two are in union now. And if you look at the Lover's card, behind the feminine, there is this tree, you know, which I feel represents this. And it's almost like now the feminine has a stem. Like now the feminine has a stem. And what's interesting is that in Germanic languages, the word stem, it actually means voice. Funnily enough, in Norwegian, it's like stem, it's stemme in Norwegian, and that means voice, but it also means to vote. And so there is something about that it's almost like now the feminine, the spirit of the feminine, she has a voice, she has a vote, you know, she has a will. It's almost like the will has come back to the spirit of the feminine. I feel like the feminine is in union now with, you know, between the lower realms, the upper realms. And as you can see here on the Lover's card, it's like the snake can climb on this tree trunk, you know, it can climb into the crown of the tree where the green is, you know. So I feel like this is also very much connected to money, that I feel if you resonate with being a feminine, or even if you haven't developed that side of yourself yet, it feels like speaking from that part of yourself, that feminine part of yourself, and having a voice that is true, you know, that is based on your truth. There is something about that can help you with your financial endeavors. That's what I'm feeling, because it's almost as if when the feminine speaks, it's something for others to climb on. It's almost as if the people around you can, it's almost like they can climb on your vibration. It's like your voice can help them gather more understanding somehow. That's what I'm getting. And so for some of you, your voice is going to be important. Like, speak up if you have something to say. And now I feel with these new changes, you know, the feminine being protected now, by this father, this restored version of the father, it means that now it's going to be easier as well to actually speak up and from a place of truth. And so that's very interesting, because if you look at the masculine in the Lover's card, you see that behind him there is a tree burning, the burning bush, things dissolving, the old growth dissolving. And so that's something that we may start to see more of, that also that you may be able to start to see in your own life, that when you really speak from your heart and from your truth, it's almost like change will really start taking place around you, maybe even faster than you thought. But I'm also feeling like there is a difference here, because I feel like there is also a group of people that, they have chosen the ego, and so their entire system is currently, it's almost like when we choose the ego at this point in time, it's like we reject truth. We choose image over reality. We choose the glossy surface over the lost inner child, in a sense. Our own vulnerabilities. It's like we don't want to stand with that darkness that we may carry inside. We just want it to go away. And so that means that when we're in this position, it's almost like truth, we're very afraid of it, because it means that if we face it, if we start having truth into our lives, it means that we will have to change our entire lives, that we will see that we are completely out of alignment. And so I feel like a lot of people that have chosen their ego, it's almost like they are not gonna be willing to listen to truth. And so it's almost like they are creating this collective group of people that are gonna go through this process of burning, in a sense, together. So they're not so much, I feel, on an individual path. They're not really standing out with their voice. They're not really speaking from their heart, because they don't really have access to their hearts at this point in time. They didn't choose that. Like, they didn't choose to receive that guidance of, what will break you, what will break your ego down, what will open your heart, because to go that path, it hurts. It really hurts. It's really difficult. And so, of course, it's not that easy. And so I think for these people, they just felt safer to go this path together as a collective. They didn't want to go it on their own. They may not have been ready for that. They needed the collective. And so you may start seeing that there are groups of people that it's almost like they're going down this path of dissolving. But I don't know, it's just what they have chosen. I feel it was their choice. So I don't know if I don't think that that's something that we can change, actually. It feels like they just have to play out the timeline that they have chosen. But there are also people connected to those people, because I feel like there's also gonna be kind of like authorities that are still trying to help and take care of this group of people. And so again, it's gonna be this like codependent dynamic playing out, I feel, still, with maybe like the authorities and then this specific group of people that are, in essence, catching on fire, in a sense. And yeah, I don't know, it just seems like they are not at this point in time quite ready for their own unique path. They have some collective karma that they have chosen to play out. And so I feel like if you feel more ready for your own unique path, if you want to explore your creativity, if you're not that afraid of standing on your own and thinking for yourself, and you're starting to feel more comfortable with that, then I think just, you may feel guided to not interact that much with this group of people. That's what I'm getting. So let's also pull a few cards here just to see if there are any more messages that I'm missing. I actually want to use the Rider-Waite for this. So Knight of Wands, King of Wands underneath the deck when I'm shuffling it. Oh yeah, and then the Tower slid out with the Knight of Wands underneath the deck now. So I also feel like this path of burning, it's actually a path of destroying old authorities. I feel that might be the case, that these people, they might be fighting the authorities, they might be even fighting their own inner image of authority. So again, they might not realize how dependent they are on the authority, how much their lives depend on the authority. They just want to fight it maybe, but then if they manage to break it down, I feel like they're going to realize that their foundation is gone now. So that's something else I feel to be cautious of, this desire to break things down. Make sure that you're solid. If you want to break something down, just make sure that you're solid without it. Like that your foundation doesn't depend on it, or that the system that you're dependent on doesn't depend on that force. You know, there's something about, it's important to be grounded now and also look at the root. Look at the whole picture is what I'm getting. So anything else there? I also feel like there, yeah, there's something, wow, the World underneath the deck. Yes, I love this. And also the Three of Cups. And then there were some cards coming out here, so let's have a look. The Ten of Pentacles showing itself straight away. So there's something about also the long game, that especially I feel if you're in that feminine spirit, you know, creative, you wanting to be creative, work on your creativity, you wanting to co-create with the nature around you, I'm feeling as well for a lot of these people, but maybe in a new way. Like maybe it's like you're kind of like, again, you're merging the stars with the roots. So you're merging like tradition with innovation. I feel like that's very much the path that some of you are going to be walking. And you may not have the actual ideas yet, but it's more like they will come to you when it's time to put them out. They will start coming to you the more that you cultivate yourself, because there's something about this woman here in this World card. Like you see, she's naked, so she's like comfortable with herself. She's real. She's comfortable with her own mirror image, but she also has this kind of like thing draped around her, like this piece of fabric draped around her, and you see that her hair, she's done something to her hair. So she's not just like in her natural state either. Like she's not in an animal. She's not like an animal. She has used her creativity to enhance her reality. That's what I'm getting, but she's still very real. She's very comfortable with the baseline. That's what I'm feeling. Like with the root, she's learned how to be comfortable with the root, who she is. Like the traumas that she's been through, all of that. I feel like she's come to terms with it. She's no longer running away from herself and her shadow or whatever. But it's like now she's learned how to enhance it using her creativity and her innovation, like art. I feel like this is very artsy vibe, and I feel like that is part of what will help many of you to construct your new lives. That's what I'm feeling. So let's look at this card here. Yeah, the Page of Cups. Definitely. For some of you, these are also children that you may want to bring in. And I feel like if you are in that place where you may want to welcome children, your child is going to be very vital, like it's going to be a guide for you somehow, like the development of your child. I feel it's going to bring you so much creativity, and it's going to like, it looks like it's going to be a very creative little child as well, very like special, and like different artistic child coming in for some of you. And if it's not a real child, this is like ideas, you know, it's like coming through you like ideas. And then Two of Swords in reverse, that's cool. So things are starting to open up, I feel, for you. Yes, definitely. Nine of Wands in reverse as well. I feel like you're starting to feel more secure now. You're not so defensive anymore because, again, with the Father, it's like that Father archetype has been restored and you're actually in alignment now. You're actually protected. You hear the messages that you need to hear. You receive your guidance and you follow it. And so you are protected. You're gonna avoid harm. That's what I'm getting. And you're gonna create luck. Wow. Judgment. That is so powerful. Yeah, I feel like this is you stepping into the flow, actually. I'm really seeing in my mind's eye, like with the mountain in the Lovers here, you know, the Lovers is also very similar to the Devil, the Capricorn card. And it's something with the mountain, that the mountain is no longer like hard and rigid and dense. It's melting, it's turning into water, you know, you're stepping into the flow. And it's because your feminine is in union. It's because your feminine is in union. You understand a little bit more now on how to read time. And I feel like even if you may not fully resonate with this right now, I do definitely feel like this is the feminine archetype. This is the collective feminine right now. And so if you are willing to step onto this path, I do feel like it is open, but it's kind of like we kind of have to build, just like with the Ten of Pentacles there, it's like we have to build the body for it. We have to build the astral body. You know, this is the symbol of the tree of life. In the Kabbalistic tradition, you know, these pentacles there, they like depict the symbol of the tree of life. And so it's something about, you know, the tree again, building that internal multidimensionality, the ability to tap into the different realms. It feels like a prerequisite, you know, it's like the snake needs the stem to climb on. And so if you haven't quite done that yet, I would say definitely tune into people that have, because it's almost as if you will receive downloads and initiations just by listening to their voice. Even if you don't necessarily understand what they're saying, it's like it's going to translate and the initiations are going to come through to you in the way that you need it, through your own subconscious. So I would definitely say pay attention to your subconscious. Keep some space to yourself where you can just like meditate or sit in silence. Again, art, just writing, just creating, just painting, whatever is easiest for you. There's no set way. I feel at this point in time, there's nothing that you have to do. It's just about do what is easiest to you to open up to the flow. Like, it doesn't matter, just choose the easiest path and start walking that first, and you will see that there will be more doors opening. That's what I'm feeling. And so this is actually a beautiful reading. For those of you watching, there's a lot of opportunities coming your way, I feel. So just remain open to it and receive, you know, tune into your feminine. So I hope this reading was interesting. Take care, guys. Bye.